Hi, I'm Kristin Clark, and we are sitting in on another installment of College Planning Untangled, where we help families simplify the college planning process. Bobby, how are you doing today?
Just great. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so we always love this subject of the college planning timeline and helping families just,
Mhm.
keep this as simple as possible. We're talking today about rising seniors, and
Okay.
this is where just things start heating up, right?
Right. Yeah, you may have thought about college stuff. I mean, there are things we've talked about, checklists of things you can do in the spring as at the end of your junior year. And it's mostly just getting ready because it's about to be a flurry in the summer. And so yeah, now it's time to get organized, really start having a list and checking it off, right?
Yeah, well, I can tell you, I've already gotten notes from a lot of my past clients that
Mhm.
they're out visiting schools right now, visiting colleges that they're thinking about for next year.
That's great, right? And so since they worked with you, they've got a good idea of what they're looking for at the college, which kind of majors they have, what their skills would be and strengths that that college would work well for. So that's great, right? Some people might be happier at a big school, some at a smaller school. I remember not knowing how to make that decision. Do I want to be at a big school? Do I want to be at a small school? So
Well,
knowing what makes you thrive is a big part of it.
yeah, and it's interesting, Bobby. So as you mentioned, I work with students helping them to figure out a career path, which ultimately they figure out a college major. And what I find, and I think this is important for parents to think about it, especially for those kiddos that are not showing a ton of interest in
Mhm.
visiting colleges, is that these kids, because they can, really see what they're trying to accomplish, like
Mhm.
they've decided what that major is going to be and what their career path can look like, that they get kind of excited now because they're like, oh, I know why I'm going, and I know this school has this major, so there's some purpose behind this search.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you've decided that you want to be in, biological science or computer design and engineering or whatever it is, now you're suddenly interested in, okay, what does their lab look like? What does this building look like that I'm going to spend most of the next 4 years in? Right. That can be
Absolutely.
really helpful. Even go and, see if you can walk around there and find students in that major and talk to them, right? So that can really zero it in because, yeah, just going and walking around a campus that only gives you a little bit of information, right? There's a lot more that you can get if you are prepared before you go.
Yes, and we have also talked a lot about that feeling of being on campus,
Mhm.
and set even I've already decided on a major aside, but walking on campus and getting the vibe and seeing if it feels like home.
Sure.
These visits are so important, and I would say too, visiting while the kids are in school is preferable. It's not a have
If you
to have,
can,
but it's
sure.
preferable. Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. In the summer, there will be some students, but not the full crowd. Right. And so, yeah, I mean, that's something you can do over the summer. Obviously, the most, famous thing is go make your college visits, right? If you can do it during the school year, that's great too. That's probably better, but you just need to go see a few. And as we've talked about before, it doesn't have to be visiting only like your top choice colleges. If you're just on a road trip and you see a college, just go stop in, right? I know you used to do that, and that's just part of the thing, right?
Well, we still do, Bobby. We're
Yeah,
such geeks about it
that's right.
because we had so many good memories doing it when the boys were growing up that
Yeah,
anytime we
yep,
are by a college campus, we just zip in and just
yeah. Just drive right past. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So I want to put the college planning timeline, how to get that into
Mhm.
the comments. So as we're talking through this, people can download the timeline and they can follow along with us. So it's in there now.
Absolutely. I mean, you should just print this thing out, stick it on your refrigerator, right? And as we've talked about, before summer, before junior or senior year, you just like once every week or two, take a look at it, do a thing on it, right? And then now you grab that thing off the fridge and start making a list and checking it off. And yeah, the first thing is do some college visits, right? Absolutely.
Yeah. And then we talk about continue to narrow your career path
Hmm.
choices or your career path ideas. And, Bobby, when I speak to this, I always talk about career path
Hmm.
because I get this question a lot. And a lot of times it's from dads.
Right.
And they say, Kristen, seriously, can my kid at 16, 17, 18 years old decide on a career path? And I want to help families get real comfortable with this, Bobby. When
Mhm.
we talk about that, it's really about, I call it the figuring out their pie shape.
Mhm.
And the whole thought is, if in this circle, this is all the careers they could ever consider,
Mhm.
if we can get them into the pie shape
Mhm.
where they now have ruled out all the white space around it, they have an idea of what they want to do. Now they can go to college and feel comfortable and confident that the college is going to expose them to all the really cool things, that they
Absolutely.
can start narrowing that choice, and that pie shape starts to narrow. So we're not expecting kids to walk into college and say, I know what I'm going to do with the rest of my life.
Right.
It's not what it's about.
Absolutely. I mean, see, that's the thing is, I mean, it's unreasonable to expect that you would know the exact job you want necessarily, because in career fields, there are many different jobs with many different skills, but getting an idea of what your skills are, what your strengths are, what would make you happy to do, that then narrows it just down to a range, right? That there's still tens of thousands of jobs in that range, right? And so,
Right.
yeah, you can start as you start visiting colleges. If you can, if you know like what sorts of majors you're interested in, the admissions department very, very likely will be happy to connect you up with a current student who volunteers at the admissions office, who knows somebody. There are volunteers who are like, yeah, I'll have a conversation with you and tell you what it's like to be in this major. And that's how you narrow down your
Absolutely.
your choice of major, is
Yeah.
by just saying, okay, is this fun? And they're like, oh yeah, the mechanical engineers, they're always doing these kinds of labs, but the electrical engineers, they're doing these other kinds of things, right? And so then you can say, oh, okay, that's the difference between these.
Absolutely. And it is continuing to pull together knowledge about that career, and to continue to be curious and
Mhm.
ask the questions you're talking about, so that you can, number one, walk in with confidence that you're in the right pie shape.
Mhm.
But number two, know that, you can continue to make slight adjustments to that as you go through college. So by the end, you do have a much more realistic idea of what you think is going to make you happy for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of occurs to me like if you had gone through the strengths and said, okay, my strength is I love writing, right? Well, there are a million jobs, right? You could go into the journalism school, right? And you could be a writer for news programs or TV shows, or you could go into the creative writing program, right? You could be trying to write novels or things like that, or you could go into journalism and be just straight newspapers.
Or
There are all these different
advertising,
things, or
and
advertising. You
marketing.
could be a copywriter, and
Yeah,
right,
and
absolutely.
content's king these days. So, yeah,
Absolutely. And so the
yeah,
journalism school and the business marketing school, completely different schools, different buildings, and you go talk to a journalism student and a business student and see what the difference is. That's what this is all about and I think that's part of the thing with the college visit. Make an appointment, ask for a tour, and if you have some information, ask if you can speak to a student. Always ask to make an appointment and speak with an admissions officer while you're there. You can't always do that, but you usually can. Don't just go self tour, talk to no one, and then leave, right?
no,
Do the
no.
official tour and remember that the tour guide, if you make a positive or negative impression on that tour, is going to relay notes about your behavior to the admissions officers. So don't go and be a jerk and irritate people.
Yeah, well, and you know what,
It
Bobby,
happens a
because
lot.
you're kind of going down this path on the college planning timeline, we have a pro tip in here, and it is
Mhm,
all about intent.
mhm,
So this is an important thing for families to know, and not a lot of families do, and that is, every time you contact that college,
mhm.
they're putting a little tick mark next to your name.
Yep.
So when you call them about dorms, when
Mhm,
you call them and say, "Hey, I would like to set up an appointment with this college within the college,"
mhm.
anytime you're talking to them, anytime you're talking to somebody locally
Yep.
about that college, they put a tick mark. And
Yep.
you can go into your spiel about every time you get a tick mark, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what they call demonstrated interest in the college, and they want to know that the student has demonstrated interest. The parent being interested does not matter to them. They want to know that if you get the offer of admission, that you will accept it. And the number of times that you contact the school and the way you speak when you do and what your essay says about it, those are all super informative. They don't want to extend offers that don't get accepted because that hurts the ranking. And that's it. So show
Yep.
your interest, right? In all the different ways.
And join their social media, especially for those
Yep.
colleges that you're really gunning for and that you really, really want to get into.
Yep.
All
Absolutely.
right. So we talked about visiting colleges. We
Mhm.
talked about continuing to narrow your career path ideas. And by the way, I do have a class for that, and I'll put that in the comments as well. Um, then we also talk about consider taking college level classes.
Absolutely. So this is interesting. Like, college level classes, like AP classes are one category of that, right? Which is if you take the class and take the associated AP test, which you must do if you want to get, credit from the college for having taken a hard class, right? You take the AP class, a lot of colleges will give you college credit for having scored a 4 or a 5 on the AP tests. I walked into college with, I think, 12 hours of credit from my AP tests, and that just made college that much easier and faster, right? Uh, but also, you can go and take college level actual courses from local community colleges and get college credit that way. You might want to check and make sure, what the colleges you're interested in, what their policies are. They will always have policies about that. Make sure you're taking types of credits that will transfer to that college. But you can walk into college with, some hours under your belt. And I mean, I did that one summer. I took a community college course at Richland in Dallas just to get, one of my college credits out of the way. And you can do those short, 3 or 5 week summer semesters. It works very nicely.
Yeah, it's a great way to. I mean, if you do have to change your major,
Hmm.
or it can help bridge some of the gap
Hmm.
of maybe some classes that you took that are not going to work towards your major. But also, let's say you do kind of mess up in a class and you don't get a
Right.
great score. This can at least give you a little bit of breathing room so that you can get done in 4 years.
Absolutely. And another thing is that it is very easy, like for a lot of students, high school courses don't like come fairly easy for them, and they get kind of used to the amount of homework I need to do and preparation I need to do is not that much, right? Because, just compared to, like, it may seem like a lot when you're in high school, but the level of work required in college is so much higher and so intimidating that a lot of students get really surprised when they show up freshman year and they take their first classes and they're like, oh my gosh, I have, 2,000 pages of reading in the first week, and they don't know how to arrange their schedule. They don't have that experience, right? It happened
That
to
was
everybody,
me.
right?
Yep.
Absolutely. And so if you go and take one college level course at a community college, you'll say, oh, okay, this is more work. And I need to actually, I'm going to have all these free hours in my days, right? Most of your week is free, and it's really easy to just sit and play video games or something, or go out and just throw the frisbee around, and instead you need to set like hours each day that you're going to spend, getting on your homework done so that you can go out and have fun with your friends.
Yep.
So that's a good way to avoid that because, as we've talked about so many times, many, a large fraction of students who go don't return after the first year. And that's one of the big reasons is just being overwhelmed. And so this is a great idea.
Yeah, let's say that one again. 30% of students
Mhm.
that go to college do not return after their freshman year.
Wow.
And, a lot of it is these things that we're talking about. They don't know why they're there because they're not quite sure of what they
Mhm.
should be majoring in based on their likes and their strengths. They haven't prepared enough. They don't know, how much work
Mhm.
it's going to be. So, yeah, so all of this kind of rolls into it. So the best, if we can get them prepped, the better off they're going to be.
Absolutely. And that's why this checklist is so important because if you just were thinking off the top of your head, you'd think, okay, it's summer for senior year. We need to visit colleges and we need to start working on applications, right? But there are more things, right, that are really going to set you up for, success. Absolutely.
Yes. And I'm going to show this. So,
Hmm.
um, and then we've got chat with college students that are home for the summer. Now, guys, this should be fun,
Super
right?
important.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Your friend's a year older than you come back for the summer. Absolutely sit down with them and say, okay, tell me what college is like. Not just is it fun, but what are you doing? What's it like? What are things that you wish you had known? Ask them that question, right? For
Yep.
sure. And
Yeah.
especially if they're going to colleges that you're interested in.
Yes. And now this next one is the big one,
Right.
right? Write your college application essays.
Hmm.
So, guys, this is the summer that you want to get ahead of this before you have to submit all of your applications. Start writing those essays, go out to the Common App, see what those questions are, and really just, start getting serious about that personal statement. You want to have your teacher or your parent proofread this. Don't let them put their own little flair on it. You just want them to make sure they're proofreading to make sure it sounds right and that there aren't major misspellings and all that good stuff.
Absolutely. So yeah, the essay prompts from the Common App are released in February every year. So you're ready right now to start on them, but you can't enter them into the Common App until August. But you can write the essay, you just can't put it in the Common App yet, right? And so this is that thing. A lot of schools use Common App essays, but most schools have additional essays that they require in addition to the Common App essays. So what you want to do is pick out one of the Common App essays and make that be your main essay and get it developed and set. And then that should give you a good basis for extrapolating off of that to write the other essays that are required. And I absolutely very strongly recommend that you have somebody look at your essay other than just parents, right? Whether it's high school counselor or a college admissions person or an essay expert or just anyone who's not your parents, right? And whatever you do, do not just write it yourself and not have anyone look at it. There are a few essays that are so commonly written that it is considered really important to not write one of those essays. And so, there are lots of websites you can read with information about that. There are books you can buy. I would definitely, at least read some things about that, right? Don't write the essay about how you helped the team win this, score the goal in the big game. Don't write about how you traveled to foreign countries and learned that people everywhere are all alike. That makes it sound like you are a rich person who travels, and that could, the admissions officer who's reading your essay probably didn't get to go to, Paris last year or Jamaica, right?
Yeah. And here's another one. Don't write about getting cut from the team. Guys, it's
Right.
not special.
Yep.
They've heard it 1,000 times.
Absolutely. So the very short advice is write an essay where you are explaining something about yourself in the type of voice you would use if you were telling your best friend a story about yourself, and try to write something in the essay that no other student in the world could write. And that sounds impossible because you think, oh, I'm just a normal person, I'm not special, but something interesting. It doesn't matter if it's, I got fascinated with learning how to make pies during COVID and I learned how to make pies really well. And here's what this says about myself. That would be an amazingly good essay, right? Just because it's different from, I went to summer camp and it was the most special summer of my life. Like, they don't want to read that. They've read a million of them. That's it. And so just get going on it. The main piece of advice there is just write something and show it to some people. And what they're going to do is say, hey, this part in the last paragraph, that part's interesting. The rest of this was boring. Take that part. Tell me more about that.
One other thing, Bobby, that, I help students with understanding their strengths, their Clifton strengths profiles. And I hear that when they've done that, it actually gives them ideas because with the Clifton strengths, it talks about those things that you're naturally talented at, right?
Absolutely.
And it generates ideas for the kiddos to go, you know what, I am really good at this, and kind of spark some new ideas for them as far as writing their essays. So just 100%. Know that's another thing that I do during the Pick the Right Major class, and I'm going to show the URL for that as well. So, take a look at that, guys. I talk a lot about the Clifton Strengths program on the College Planning Untangled website that you can take a look at. And, even if you don't want to take the class, you can take Clifton Strengths and talk about what strengths you are really good at. So that's another opportunity.
Absolutely. And I think that ties together. When you work with students, you always talk about how the part of getting the strengths, you look at what your strengths are, and then you look for the thing where the student leans in and gets excited and their eyes light up, right? That not only is a good hint as to what sort of careers and career path you might want, is a really good hint to what you ought to write your essay about, right? Because if you write in generalities about yourself or whatever, it's going to be really boring and you won't know what to write. But if you find something you're excited about writing about, that excitement will come through in the writing. And that's what they want to see, is you being excited and showing that you have passion for something. Again, if you have passion for something, you're more likely to not leave after the first year, right? And
Absolutely.
that's
Right.
what they're looking for is, and also at the end of your essay, make sure you explain in a couple of sentences why you want to go to this exact college and why you want to live in that city and what it is that you have researched about that college that makes that college special and a place that you want to go. You need that in your essay. And that means you need to change your essay for every college you apply to needs to be specifically tailored to that college. And that's a lot of work, but you've got to do it. And you got to be careful when you paste them into the Common App and not send the wrong essay to the wrong school.
Yes. Be very careful. All right, Bobby, that's what we've got for the rising seniors. And guys, this is where things really heat up. So, if you can get more of this done during the summer before senior year starts, you're much better off. So take that as well as a really good, tip to move forward.
Absolutely. And so both Kristin and I are always happy to have a consultation. Contact us at our websites below. If you'd like to talk about any of this, I love talking about college admission stuff. Happy to answer questions about that or work with students on it. And also, not on the checklist, because by the end of junior year, you already should be done with SAT and ACT prep if you can be. But if you're not, that's another thing. Over this summer, you need to get that SAT or ACT knocked out. Even if you're considering, applying, test optional, if you can get a score that improves your chances, then you ought to consider it. And so definitely feel free to contact me. Summer's a great time to work on SAT and ACT.
All right. Thanks, Bobby.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.